Hey guys, Austin back again with another long play video. This was actually kind of an unexpected one. I was not planning on doing this long play. I actually picked this game up the other day. It's the Japanese version of Guardian Heroes. And yeah, my brother and I were playing it together. We beat it on two-player mode. Well, actually, no, we didn't beat it. We got kind of close to beating it in two-player mode. And I was recording gameplay footage of it at the same time. And after we finished playing, he was like, yeah, I don't want to play anymore, but you can keep playing. So I went ahead and started this game here with Han, and I ended up beating the game without dying. Granted, probably one of the paths I took was a little bit easier than some of the others, and that might have been why. But yeah, I managed to beat this game without dying, so that's what this long play is going to be of. Guardian Heroes has many paths you can take, and yeah, some might be more difficult than others, and there are so many paths. There's no way I could possibly show you all of them in one long play. But yeah, this is one of the many paths you can take, and of course, the early stages in the game, you know, you play pretty much on any path you take. The farther you go into the game, the farther it branches out into a wider direction. So yeah, this game has quite a few different characters you can play as. Each have their own unique traits, and I'm playing as Han, who's, you know, your typical, well, I don't want to say typical because it's a treasure game. No one's really ever typical in a treasure game. But he's your big, bulky, mostly attack-oriented, strength-oriented character. He doesn't have many magic spells like other characters do. He only has a fireball, but still, it's very useful. He's still a really good balance, though. And I actually think the game is probably the easiest with him. I used to think otherwise back in the day, but after this session right here of me running through the game so easily, I tried playing it as Genjiro, who's sort of like the well, he's another character in the game. He's very quick and magic oriented, and I've been having a hard time trying to get through the game with him. Han has the advantage of having the massive long sword, and he's actually got some combos, like some auto combos basically. If you keep mashing the B button, which is your basic weak punch, he'll do a 4 or 5 hit long string that could just cut right through a few enemies. And other characters like Genjiro don't have that. So Han is a really good character, and if you're just new to the game, you might want to try playing as him first, just to get used to it. So this is the very beginning of the game. What actually happens here is, you know, after the very beginning story bit, you actually walk out of the tavern, but you can choose to stay, and you can level up. You get experience points for pretty much everything you do in this game. Every time you touch an enemy, you get experience points, and every time you shoot out a magic spell, you get experience points as well. So what I usually do in the beginning is stay here until the game actually forces you out. You can kill a bunch of enemies, you can level up several times to get an early head start in the game. And try to stay away from that right-hand door if you want to do that, otherwise the character will walk out on his own. It's getting close to the end now. There's only one guy there. I think, yeah, this is where they force us out. Once the guys start like panicking, once the enemies start panicking and running out, that's when the game's gonna force you out of that room. Oh man, but yeah, this is actually the first time I played this game in a long time. And I wasn't really expecting to buy this game. You see there in that, if you push start, you can go to your stats screen. I'm already at level 13, so so I got 13 level ups just sitting back and fighting in that tavern. But yeah, like I was saying, I haven't played this game in a long time. Wasn't even expecting to buy it, but a local independent store in my area was doing a buy one get one 60% off deal on their used stuff, and they had Guardian Heroes, the Japanese one. It was pretty expensive. It was almost 60 bucks. And I didn't really want to pay that for it, but I know that the American one isn't any cheaper. It's probably double that price now, and but I was also able to get another uncommon Saturn import for 60% off. So in the end, it was worth it. I got probably $100 worth of games for about 70. So, and I got Guardian Heroes. And arguably, Guardian Heroes is probably one of, at least to me, it's one of the best games of the 32-bit generation. And actually, when I was playing it again, I was like, oh my god, I forgot how great this game was. This has got to be like one of the best games of all time. And that's how I felt when I was playing this game. Very few games like make me smile and like kind of giddy inside when I play them. But Guardian Heroes is one of them. And I completely forgot how great and fantastic this game is. Radiant Silvergun by Treasure is another one that does that to me, but very, very few other games give me that feeling when I come back to them after so long. And if you guys have never played this game before, definitely check this game out. This is a fantastic game. If you like beat 'em ups especially, even more. If you like fighting games and beat 'em ups, even better, because this game has fighting game elements. You've got command attacks, like when you jump up in the air and he does that flaming sword attack, you have to tap down, and attack to do that. Other characters have other special abilities. There's a lot of command options that make the game far more deeper than your standard beat 'em up, especially from the mid-90s. Back then, beat 'em ups were usually just 1, 2, maybe 3 buttons, and all you did was mash the buttons. But this game, you have blocking, you have combos, you have juggles, you have command attacks, you have magic, and your magic can be called out by either pressing the magic button, and you could scroll through your magic that you have available and then call it out, or you can do, say, like Street Fighter Fireball motion and hit the magic button. The spell will come out automatically instead of you scrolling through your spell menu. So the game is like a fighting game mixed with a beat 'em up. And then you have the role-playing game elements, very light role-playing game elements, mind you, where you get experience points and you level up. And as you'll see here in just a little bit, once the level ends, you go to a stats screen. The leveling up isn't just to boost your stats as you level up, but you also get bonus points you can put towards other stats. So not only do you build your stats by gaining levels, but you also get points where you can build your stats even further in a customizable manner after the end of each stage. So you can build your stats to your liking, basically. And when you boost your stats in this game, for instance, if you boost your intelligence, your magic actually gets bigger on the screen and far more powerful. And by the end of the game, your magic is absolutely huge if you've really focused on boosting that. So I really can't stress enough of how awesome this game is. And I really should do just like a straight up review of it, but this long play is probably going to be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll just be raving about how great this game is most of the way through. Yeah, for you guys that haven't played this game before, if you noticed, well, actually, before I go any further, here's the stats screen I was telling you about. And because I leveled up so much, I had 19 points I could use, so I'm boosting pretty much everything. I know the top 3 are strength, vitality, and intelligence. I don't know what the ones below are. I know it goes into like agility, mentality, stuff like that. But the ones I usually focus on are strength, especially for Han, and intelligence. And intelligence is really good because it makes your spells a lot more powerful. And even with Han, who's mostly just a hack and slash character, your spells are still really good. Your simple fireball that you have is still really good. And every time you use a fireball, at least towards the end of the game, I get 100 experience points. And like I was saying, you get experience points for just using your magic. So you'll see me throwing tons of fireballs to do basically free damage and to get experience points at the same time. So even with Han, the buff character, I still boost my intelligence a lot because it's very useful. Man, after watching me do this video, it makes me want to play the game again. I've already clocked like 4 hours into this game, just last night alone, and or or last night, I was recording this video. When I upload this, it's going to be another story altogether. Well, it might be a week or two before I actually upload this, because I like to space up my my talking uploads. So, but, man, where was I going with that? I have no idea. But yeah, this game has a lot of personality too. Like when those magicians put up those barriers, when that ogre came in, he slammed on the ground, and the warriors that were, or the knights that were going to try to attack me, panic and run away, and you can see them trying to smack their way out. It's hilarious. And that's typical of treasure games. They always have a lot of personality, and it almost reminds me of the personality in like a Halo sense. Remember when the very first Halo came out, enemies would do the same way. The little grunts would do the same thing. Like enemies would come out, or where they would see you and they would scream and like try to run away from you. And it was like kind of funny and cute at the same time, and just entertaining. And that's what Treasure has always been able to do with their games, and Guardian Heroes is no exception. I can't stress enough either about how great this soundtrack is. When I was playing it the other day, I was completely bewildered by how awesome it is. I remember it being good, but it's even better now, or even more to my liking now that I'm an adult. I got my Saturn in, when did I get my Saturn? When Sega was doing the 2 free games bundle, or no, the 3 free games, the 3 free game pack with Virtua Fighter 2, Daytona USA, and Virtua Cop. I was like 96 or 97 or something like that. I think it was 96. And, no, 97 probably. I don't even remember at this point. I was in 8th grade. I was still just an early teenager. And, yeah, this game actually is one of the games that convinced me to get a Saturn over any other system available at the time. There were a couple other games like Galactic Attack, and just the general Sega arcade games like Virtua Fighter, Virtua Cop, stuff like that I had already played a lot of. But this was one of them. I used to play this with a buddy of mine all the time at his house. He had a Saturn well before I did, and actually he was the only one I really knew that had a Saturn. But yeah, this game really convinced me to get a Saturn. It was definitely one of the big reasons I got a Saturn back in the day. Of course, I never regretted that purchase. It's still one of my favorite systems of all time. And yeah, this game, what's funny about it is that this game was really, really common back then. You could go up to pretty much any electronics boutique or Funko Land, which is now GameStop. They're both GameStop now for the most part. And you'd be able to get this game for like 10 or 15 bucks. And it was like that for so long. Even by maybe like 2000, 2001, I think it was still relatively cheap. But then just all of a sudden one day it started shooting up in price. It was going for $40, $50, $60. And today in 2011 it goes for what, like $100 at least, maybe more. And it's just crazy living through that time where I was able to get it cheap. And actually I think I even owned multiple copies, because I've always been eat the game, play the hell out of it, trade it in to you know, to put it towards other games I want at that time. I don't always have a ton of money, so that always helps me get the games I want when I want, instead of having to wait to buy my games. And I remember buying this game a couple times. You know, after I sold it the initial time, I bought it probably a year later. It was still 15 bucks brand new in the stores. You know, either it's not as rare as people try to make it out to be these days, or it was just really unpopular in the stores and they just had lots of leftover copies from people not buying it over those years. But it's just so weird having been able to buy multiple copies so cheap back then, and now this copy I'm playing cost me 60 bucks. So I mean, it's just crazy it's just weird. It's just strange. It might not be so hard to contemplate for those people that are a little bit younger than me and didn't live through that time, or were born just right around that time, and you know, weren't around to buy this game when it was brand new. And But okay, that was a little bit of a rant. But this stage actually right here is I want to point out that there's an arena you can get to, and I actually go to it and I do 2 battles in the arena. And what's great about the arena is that you can sit there and fight as long as you want, as long as you're capable of doing, and you can just keep leveling up, and it'll really help you throughout the rest of the game. Leveling up is really important in this game because as you get farther into the game, the enemies get way more powerful, and if you don't do a good bit of leveling up, it gets really tricky later on in the game, especially by yourself. Of course, with HUD, it's not quite as difficult, as you can see in this video. There are a couple times though where I do get close to dying. And then I end up just trying to play smart. But what you have to do here is you have to kill every enemy on the screen. Sometimes these plants, they're a little hard to find sometimes. Sometimes you might pass one, and you'll go through the end of the level without killing them all. But after you kill them all, what you do is you go back to the farthest path where you see that sign, and you walk out the stage, and you'll go here, the arena. Top option lets you fight, bottom option lets you quit. And the enemies you fight here are really high up in their levels. They're really powerful, and they're actually really quite annoying. And you'll see here that I actually had a little bit of trouble trying to fight them. But I got the hang of their patterns. And what you really have to do is just, if they corner you, just hold the block button. They don't do any damage to you if you block. And you see right here, he was kicking my ass, and what you gotta do is just block and then dodge out of the way like that. To dodge in this game, you actually press the Y button by default, and if you want to dodge up, just press Y. If you want to dodge down, hold down and press Y. Or you can use the L and R buttons. L, I believe, dodges you up, and R dodges you down. There are 3 planes in this game, and I'm on the closest one right now. You basically jump back and forth between each plane, rather than like your standard beat 'em up where you just walk up and down. You have 3 specific planes to fight on. And that's one of the features that makes this game really unique and really so awesome too, because the game controls like a fighting game on each plane. You just walk left, right, and you actually press up to jump like you do in a fighting game. And if you want to avoid an enemy or set them up, you dodge to another plane and then let them try to jump after you, and you'll get some free hits that way. And it makes the game a lot more flexible than your standard beat 'em up, and actually a little more deep too. It's definitely not a shallow game at all. It's not too complicated, but it's far from shallow either. Which is why I can easily say I feel this is probably at least the best beat 'em up of all time. I know that's a pretty bold statement, but beat 'em ups have always been a really simplistic genre, and heavily revolved around button mashing. And I know there's some beat 'em ups where you can get involved into it on like a shmup level where it gets, you learn the game inside and out, and there are tricks to beating it without dying. But yeah, generally it's beat 'em ups are a mash fest, and Guardian Heroes actually doesn't fall into that category, which is actually oh man, I'm just kind of rambling on now. Alright, I'm gonna stop talking for a minute because I don't think I've really taken a break yet. Plus this arena section actually goes on for a little bit. As you can see, these enemies are really high level, and it's taken me quite a while to kill them, and I'm actually really low on health. And I've managed to kill 1 wolf so far, but yeah, from here I actually try to take my time, play it real safe, and for those that haven't played, I didn't really explain how the life and magic system works. Your health is actually the green bar at the top, and your magic is the bar at the bottom. Using a fireball takes up about 20 to 30 magic points, and sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less. And once your magic drains, you can actually build your magic meter back up by doing combos. Every time you hit an enemy a few times where it actually shows you the numbers, 2 hits, 3 hits, 4 hits, etc. The more hits, the better, and your magic will replenish as you hit them consecutively multiple times in a row. So with Han, you can actually do his down heavy attack, which is kind of like the ground poke like that. It'll do like 4 or 5 hits automatically, which boosts up your magic by like 20 points. I'm already at the level 34. And if you do his forward heavy slash, yeah, this is the last one I do. If you do his forward heavy slash, he gets another like 4 or 5 hits free. So when I get into a real bind in this game, especially with this character, I use up all my magic on my fireballs because they're homing from a distance. And then when I run out of magic, I just poke him with the strong attacks to build my magic meter back up. And then I run back away, throw some more fireballs, and just rinse and repeat. That's what I do when I'm really, really trying to play it safe. And you'll see that plenty as I get farther into the game, as the game gets more difficult. Yeah, with those really big enemies, when you jump up into the air and do down, medium, or weak attack, there is no medium attack, it's just weak and strong. When you do down, weak attack in the air, he does the downward sword poke. When you do the hard attack, he does the fire sword poke. But when you do the weak version of it, you can actually juggle, or not juggle, but you can repeatedly do it before you touch the ground. You can tap the ogres once and then tap them again. Depending on if they continue moving forward or not, you'll miss on the 3rd or 4th hit. You might be able to go further if you're really good, but I don't really try that hard. So, but it's just cool. One of the many unique things you could do in this game. See, my magic is just shooting up big time right there. So. See, the fireballs are, I mean, even with Han, the fireballs are really good. I mean, every time it hits at this point in the game, I'm already doing 20 damage per enemy. And when I can use it 10 times or so, that's a good bit of damage. That's easy. It's easy damage for the most part. So. Well, one thing that's going to happen since I've been talking so much, it's that my video editing for this long play is going to be a lot easier than usual. Normally, I try to cut out the spaces between talking, because sometimes I might sneeze, I might sniffle, I might do some weird thing with my throat, you know, whatever. It's, yeah, drink a drink, you know, something like that, and so I usually like to cut all that out in between, but that takes a lot of time. I mean, when your video is an hour long, it's pretty time consuming. It can take anywhere from, well, it could take up to that hour, because I have to listen to the whole thing to make sure that I don't do anything stupid or tip over my computer monitor in the process and make a ton of noise that interrupts the long play. So, you know, even though I'm sure some of you guys don't want to be hearing me ramble this much, even though I know you guys are probably watching the long play to hear me ramble and to see this game. Man, I just sounded like a douchebag right there. But, yeah, this is going to make the editing process a lot easier for me. It's going to be a lot less work, since there'll be a lot less spaces I have to chop out. Oh, man. So, yeah, this is the last guy I have to kill. I don't think I do another fight here. I didn't want to spend too much time. Actually, because I actually probably would have spent more time, but my brother was watching. He was trying to head home. I have to take him home. He doesn't have his license, and so just for the sake of his patience, I went ahead and exited out of here. But I got a few good level ups. I think I got like 5 5 level ups. Not a ton, but every little bit helps in this game. And right here we roll into actually a very easy boss. And what's funny is after playing that arena where the enemies are really difficult, once you come back out to this part and the enemies are easy, you're just like, oh wow, this feels great. I don't have to work like I did before. Because in the arena, you actually have to play carefully. You have to be calm. You gotta play smart. And, yeah. Like, this boss was actually easier than those enemies in the arena. So... Yeah, the only downside to having the Japanese version is that I don't know Japanese, and so I can't read the story. Now, I got a general idea of what the story's about, because I had the American version, and I played it a lot, so... you know, I can't really tell you what the story is off the top of my head these days. I can tell you, though, the story was actually really good. I mean... It was really well done. Simplistic, but well done. And it was integrated well with the gameplay. There were story segments that, you know, once or twice throughout each level. But most of the game is just you fighting. It's not heavy on the story. So... It's implemented in a way where it's just perfect, and if you don't want to watch it, you can actually skip through it pretty quickly. If you hold R and then tap the C button, you'll skip through it really quickly, as you can see I'm doing there. If you just tap C by itself when the story's playing, it'll actually just scroll through the text quicker. But if you hold R and press C, the text clears out right away. So what I do is every time a story part pops up, I hold R, keep mashing C to get through it as quickly as possible. It doesn't take more than a couple seconds, so... Yeah, I must have actually got quite a few level ups there in the arena because, yeah, I have 20 points to spread out. And with Han, I just play it safe and I just try to even everything out as I go throughout the game. Just to try to make them a little more balanced. Now, this path right here, actually, you fight another gold warrior, kind of like the one that's helping you out, which I haven't even talked about, surprisingly. He's a big part of the game, actually. But you fight another, like, an alternate version of the gold warrior. He's like a silver warrior, or undead warrior, or something like that. And, he's got a different sword. And after you beat the game with, not beat the game, man, I'm getting way ahead of myself. After you beat him with Han, he actually has a different sword, similar to your Gold Warrior sword, but it's like blue or something like that. And Han actually gets it and uses it for the rest of the game. And what it does is it boosts his stats up quite a bit. It boosts every stat up by at least 5, I think. And the next stat screen I get to, you'll see that there'll be a bunch of blue bars on it, which is the indication, or is indicated by, man, I'm totally not talking right now. It's, those blue bars boost my stats here because of the sword that I get here. And I believe this is the only point in the game where you get that with Han. And Han is the only one that gets that. So, it could be another reason why I do a little bit better on this round than I probably should have. And come to think of it, back in the day, I don't even remember getting this sword. That goes to show how many paths there are to take in this game, and you know, how many different ways there are to play this game. You might actually play this game a lot over the years and might actually miss a few stages. And when you come back to it later on down the road, you'll be like, huh, I don't remember this. And it's because you never played it before. You missed it back in the day. So I think that's the case with this stage here for me. That guy totally gets his ass kicked all the way through the game. It's great. He's like one of the nemesis characters in this game, but every time a big boss comes out, it always knocks him away. Now, one of the things you have to be careful about in this game is when you use your magic, you'll notice the enemy actually changes colors. For instance, if you hit them with a lightning spell, they'll turn blue and get it slightly electrified. When you shoot them with a fireball, it's kind of like Street Fighter. They turn into, you know, red flames. And if they're actually too close to you when that happens, and they're in that color mode, you actually get hurt by that. So, especially with more magic-heavy characters like Genjiro, you need to be really careful about using your magic at the right distance. Otherwise, the enemies will run into you as they're getting hit by your spells, and you'll get hit in return. So, which is actually another reason why I think it's a little more difficult with characters like Genjiro. Because for one, he's a much closer distance character. He has to be much closer to attack. And there are many more opportunities for the enemies to fall into you when he uses his magic. Whereas with Han, he only has the fireball, and you can generally use that from a distance and be safe. So, with other characters in the game, though, it's something you really gotta watch out for. But some bosses will actually... Some bosses will also use magic, and sometimes you'll have multiple teammates on the screen. You've always got your gold warrior, but sometimes another character will come out and help you for a fight. If they get hit by a spell, for instance like an ice spell, and they get frozen, and you run up and you touch them, you'll get frozen too. So there's something you also got to watch out for if your teammates get hit. This guy actually especially, he does that frozen attack I was just talking about. What's great about having the teammates in this game is that they can actually do the work for you. They're not useless like they are in, well, the majority of video games out there. Especially for this guy that I'm about to fight, he's a real pain in the ass, and I just let the Gold Warrior do all the attacking for me, and I just sit back from the distance. Here's a little story segment explaining stuff, of course in Japanese, so... But, yeah, that Gold Warrior, though, he's a big part of the story, and he's a big part of the game, and, he actually has a few modes. Naturally, once he revives early on in the game, he starts helping you out, he starts attacking enemies, he plays by your side for the rest of the game. But, if you press the X button, it actually brings up a menu, and you can command him to do certain things. For instance, you can command him to be more defensive, more offensive. You can command him to sit back and not attack. That way you can get all the hits on the enemies, which gives you more experience points in the end. Because I don't think you get experience points when the Gold Warrior attacks. And you can also set him to, like, Rage mode, which I actually end up doing quite a bit later on in the game. There he goes, he gets hit again. But yeah, I end up doing that quite a bit later on in the game, because he'll just do these like Nova explosion attacks that really demolish all enemies on screen at once, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything to do that, so to help me through the later parts of the game, that's what I do. So the Gold Warrior is an essential asset in this game. Yeah. There, I just set him... There he goes, he's about to explode. And watch this guy's health just drop. Well, actually, not so much in that one because he was far away, but if the boss was right next to him, he probably would have dropped by a few hundred hit points. just off that free attack I didn't even do myself. So the Gold Warrior is awesome in this game, and here I am just sitting back. I try to get a few hits in myself, but he always does that push away attack, which hurts me and then pushes me away, so I can't do anything. So I'll get in occasionally just to try to do a few basic hits to build up my magic again, but it's really not worth him, this guy. Just let the Gold Warrior attack him. The fight will take a little bit longer, but me, I don't like risking continuing. I like the feeling of beating a game without continuing. So I try to play as safe as I can sometimes, and on instances where it's a little more difficult to take him on by myself. So as you can see, his life is already halfway down, so it's not taking all that long. And since I have two people helping me on this one, it's really not that bad. What's awesome is that the bosses don't really go after you. It's not like other games where the AI is always like coming after you, even if you have teammates. He's pretty much just fighting whatever's closest to him, and so it makes him much more doable. If this was your standard beat 'em up, where you don't have any teammates, and the boss has major advantages like he does here, I probably would have continued like 8 times already, seriously. And that's one of the things I don't really care for about the beat 'em up genre, is a lot of beat 'em ups, they have these seemingly impossible boss fights that have much more priority over you. And in Guardian Heroes, you've got this invincible warrior to help you out, so to kind of balance that out, which also then gives the game a little more depth. Because you can try to mash on the guy like a normal beat 'em up, but like in standard beat 'em up fashion, where he has way more priority than you do, he's gonna kick your ass if you really try to attack him. So there are those blue stats I was talking about. Getting that sword for Han really boosts your stats up big time, as you can see. And here I'm boosting my intelligence. And yeah, I think at this point, boosting my intelligence up this high, I think I'm gonna shoot 4 fireballs out now. Whereas in the beginning of the game, I shoot 1 fireball. And as I level up, I'll eventually shoot 2, then I'll shoot 3, then I'll shoot 4, and I think it goes up even higher than that. It goes up to like 5 or 6. I don't even remember what I'm doing here. The screen is just kind of chilling. I think I remember someone came into my room when this happened, and we're talking, or I'm talking to my brother, and waiting. I just ran out of soda too. Damn it. It's kind of a bummer. How much time do I have left? I've got at least 20 minutes left in this video. So yeah, here's the stat screen, guys. I was actually going to chop this part out. I think I remember recording this part for longer than I meant to, but now that I'm talking over it, it's like it's going to be a little bit more difficult to chop out. But there we go. I must have used the bathroom or something, I don't know. Now you notice there was a path of choices I could have taken, and you got a wide variety of paths you can take, like I've already stated, and you saw that throughout the game as I got up to this point. Sometimes I'd only have 2 choices, sometimes I would have 5 choices. It gets pretty crazy in this game, and it's really one thing that really helps to give this game a lot of replay value. And replay value for me is more or less just the game being fun. And Guardian Heroes is one of those games where I don't need multiple paths to continue playing it, but it certainly helps. I mean, it's just, it makes the game even better than it already is. I mean, the game is so much fun to just play, and that gives its replay value for me anyways. The game is just a blast to play, and with my addictive personality, I love to just play this game over and over again. But the multiple paths really helps. You can actually, I totally forgot about this, you can juggle enemies after they hit the ground. And they actually still give you experience points when you juggle them after they're dead. And it's not much. Like at this point in the game, I think I'm getting like 8 experience points per hit on juggling them. So it's not completely worth it. You get a lot more experience by just fighting enemies normally. But again, every little bit helps. And there's actually a point here, I think, where I juggle them again, and I keep tapping start to see how much they give me, and I think it's 8 points by the end of this game. Earlier on in the game, when you juggle them after they're dead, you don't get as many. You only get like 2 or 3 experience points, but still. But yeah, Han's diving fire attack is actually really powerful in this game, and I didn't really figure that out till towards the end of this playthrough. It's also really safe. When you're playing as Genjiro, he has a similar attack where he kind of dives straight to the ground doing a lightning kick. And sometimes the enemies can still hit you, or after you touch the enemy and they turn into their, you know, their lightning mode because you're hitting them with the lightning attack. After I touch them, their lightning mode will hurt me, and so the move isn't safe like it is for Han. So there are definitely some more advantages to playing with Han than there are other characters in this game. There are 3 other characters you can play as. I believe it's Randy, he's more of like a magician, and Nicole, I think that's her name. She's also like a magician type. And then there's the Red Warrior chick, completely forgot what her name is. You know, is it Serena or something like that? I have no idea. Yeah, she's more of a warrior type as well. But the more magic-oriented types are, it's not quite as easy to get through the game, in my opinion. Now what I might actually do later is pop this game on hard mode and see how it plays with Han, because obviously the game's easier with Han. But I wonder if it's any more tricky in hard mode. Currently at this playthrough I'm playing on normal, all default settings, 9 continues. The game defaults to 9 continues, and of course I don't need to use any of them. Well, yeah, your continues are basically your lives in this game, because you actually don't get lives. You just have 1 life, and then once you run out of health, it's game over and you continue. So I basically do the game without dying, thus without continuing. Now this part actually gave me trouble with, I got here just before this playthrough, and I got here with Genjiro, and it really gave me trouble with him. But with Han, it's not too bad. His downward attack really helps things. And you can time it too. You can do it at the peak of your jump, or you can do it right before hitting the ground, which you'll see me doing, which is great. It makes it a really flexible move. So I'm aiming for the enemies as I'm playing, using that attack. Juggle, juggle, juggle. Oh, I missed. And as you can see, you can hit multiple enemies at one time, so you can hit a whole crew of enemies. I think you even take up to like 100 damage off an enemy each time you use the fire attack, at least at what level I am and what stats I am right now. Alright, we're getting really close. Basically what happens here after this is we go to sort of a hell-like area, we go through one level I believe, and then we go to the final boss for this path, which is this chick right here. That guy just gets his ass kicked all the way through the game. Now you have choices in this game. Sometimes you'll go to this hell-like area, you'll beat this last boss. Other times you go up to the heaven-like area, and you'll fight another boss there. And if I remember correctly, I believe both sides, like the heaven and the hell, they're both actually evil or something like that. Because you fight some crazy last boss at the end of each one. And which one you fight depends on the path that you took in the game and the choices that you went through up to then. So now this level right here, the enemies are actually really powerful. So this is where I really start trying to play a little bit safe. These plants, they're not bad, just like the regular plants early on in the game. But the next, like the ogres that come out, can be really tricky. As well as these little gray-looking slime-like things, which are a real pain in the ass. See, I've got my Gold Knight doing the crazy thing, and he does tons of damage. Like that one fireball attack he just did just took off a few hundred hit points from that plant. And he's going into Berserk mode, boom, those guys are dead completely. See, that's why the Gold Knight is awesome in this game. I'm up to level 56. Not sure what the max or cap is in this game. It might be 99. Might be higher, I'm not sure. Now one thing you can do is actually, if you go to the options screen, you can make an experience counter appear above your health bar. And I actually did that after playing this, so you can actually tell how many experience points you have to go without clicking to your status screen. And I just gained a ridiculous amount of experience points just for extinguishing my magic. As far as I know, there's no command method to set your gold warrior into a specific mode. Like, I don't know if there's like a quarter circle back and then gold warrior button to set him into like rage mode or something like that. I haven't tried it, but now that I think about it, I probably should. I don't think you can though. And every time you want to change him, you gotta press X. That little menu pops up above your head, and you press left or right to select which mode you want him to be in. $1907, 1899. So you get 8 experience points every time you hit them. Down to 1830, 1798. Free experience is always good experience. Now these guys could be a bit of a pain. And there are yellow ones later on in the game. Or actually even early in the game if you go to the... If I stuck around in the arena, I would have fought yellow versions of these guys, and they are a real pain. So again, I play the safe method, shoot a lot of fireballs, get a few hits in for magic reboost, use more fireballs, rinse and repeat. Set him to rage mode. The only problem with his rage mode is that if he's surrounded by a bunch of enemies, if he gets hit when he's charging up his attack, they'll hit him out of his attack, so that can be a pain. So my life is pretty low, just trying to play it safe. Fortunately, when you clear a screen, your health goes back up just a little bit. And actually for this, after this part, I think I go to the final boss for this path. And I think my life gets increased a good bit, actually, almost all the way. So with the Gold Warrior doing a lot of the fighting for me on this final boss, I managed to actually beat it on my first try, which I definitely was not expecting. If there was any part I was expecting to die at, it was the final boss fight, but I didn't. Yep, it boosted me back up to 748. My fireballs don't do a ton of damage here, but I mean, it's like 20 hit points off every time. What I do is try to stay away from the plane that this boss is on, because she shoots those straight lightning shots, which do some damage. Either halfway through or after you kill this form, she switches into like her true form, which is some crazy looking flying beast thing. There we go. Watch her life drop. Yeah, her life went down by 400 points at least on his attack, so... Yeah, his dive fire attack is really good. And to do that rising attack, it's just down down heavy. And you can also do down down weak, but he only goes a fraction of the distance. Heavy is usually the way to go, thanks to being able to time your fire attack on the way down. Heavy is just definitely the way to go. Especially on this guy where he goes way up into the air. Fortunately, you can block pretty much anything in this game. Like his big fire blasts the boss is doing, I just hold block. Either it doesn't do any damage or it just chips for a couple hit points and that's it. So just being generally safe against him, blocking a lot. Or her, whatever you want to call it, or it. Yeah, being safe and blocking a lot, and then counterattacking using my rising attack and the down fire attack proves to be a pretty good tactic on this boss. Let's see if he can do another crazy attack. That's it. Alright, so that's basically it, guys. Guardian Heroes. This is one of the many endings in the game. Of course, it's all in Japanese, so the majority of you guys aren't going to understand what it's saying, just like me. But if you managed to watch it this far, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some tips or something if you have trouble with the game. And if you watched this far, post a comment below saying you made it all the way through. It's always good to hear those kinds of comments or read those kinds of comments. because these long plays do take a little while to do. I gotta play through the game, then I gotta do the recording, and then I gotta go edit the recording and then upload it. So, although this one was a little bit more of a freebie, because I actually was already recording gameplay footage of this one, and then played it through it a second time, which is this long play right here. Managed to do it without dying, which was totally unexpected. So I decided to go ahead and use it as a full long play video. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and not sure when my next long play will be. These seem to kind of be spontaneous. So I think in my last long play I said I wasn't going to do one for a while, but now I'm doing this one. So I have no idea when I'll do my next one, and I'll just leave it at that. I won't say that I'm not going to do any more. I won't say that I'm going to do one tomorrow. We'll just see when the next one comes out, whenever I feel like it. Because it seems that's how it's been going for me lately. But as usual, if you want to hear me ramble on about my own channel, I will be doing more reviews and all that good stuff. I got quite a few reviews coming up, and yeah. I should probably just cut the video off now, because like none of this stuff makes sense. It's all foreign to me, for an obvious reason. But yeah, Guardian Heroes, guys, awesome game. If you haven't played it, play it if you can. I mean, it's expensive. The American one especially is expensive. But I mean, if you want to just try to find the Japanese one cheap, go for that too. It's totally worth it. Even though you won't be able to understand the story, it's still totally worth it. The game is awesome. Tons of fun to play, great music, good graphics. There's a good bit of slowdown throughout the game, but there's so much going on screen at once that it's okay. It also has a 6-player multiplayer mode that I didn't mention, and as you go through the game you actually unlock characters for that mode, which is pretty cool. So you can actually fight against friends using enemies throughout the game. So pretty much any enemy you encounter can be played in that versus mode, including the final boss, any other boss throughout the game. I think you can even use the gold warrior. So anyways, with that, guys, that's basically it. Again, thanks for watching. Post some comments below. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought, or if I rambled too much, or if me rambling was a good thing. Or just say hey. Alright, guys, well, take it easy. I'm out. Thanks for watching.